All right. Hello, everybody. It's January 31st, coming to the end of the first month. I can't believe it. I guess they say that's what happens when you get older. It goes faster. That's kind of scaring me. Anyway, this call is open to questions right out of the gate. If you guys don't have anything right from the beginning, I've got some stuff to kind of go over that might help you, but I know some of you have some stuff you want to cover, so go ahead and unmute and come on out with it.
Hey, John.
Hey, Anthony.
Hi. How are you?
Very good. How about you?
Good. I have a couple of questions. One question that I see coming up is with SEMrush. I've been looking over the results the last couple of weeks, and one thing that I noticed with a lot of the reviews is that the highest volume pages for visitors seems to be, and I noticed a trend, which is it'll be like brand X standalone, just that keyword brand X. Like, for example, I'll use like Nugenics. You've heard of that, or ageless male.
Okay.
That supplement. It'll be like ageless male, 130,000 visitors a month. And then a distant second will usually be ageless male reviews, like 18,000, 15,000. And then all of the keywords underneath that will be much less. I see other sites ranking on page one. They'll have, like, for example, an ageless male review that ranks on page one for the keyword ageless male, but the slug is ageless male reviews. So how does Google put certain sites on page one for just the brand X keyword, just for ageless male, when it's an ageless male review? Is that the function of, like, I noticed a lot of them are high traffic sites. They have like 30,000 keywords, 50,000. Is that like 80% of the game is having sites with a lot of traffic and Google will just put you there? Is that?
It's traffic and it's also signals. So for everybody else that didn't quite key in on that ageless male that's the brand name, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that's one of the things that Google is really looking at brands and favoring them big time. So that's one of the things that has become very unfair in the search engine optimization game in the last couple of years, because their new algorithms are based on artificial intelligence. And what they're looking at is they're learning what a good site is from actual user data. So they're looking at what people are searching for, they're looking at what they're clicking on, and they're looking at, did they have a good experience after that? Like if somebody clicks on a keyword and it goes to your site and they hit the back button and they run another search and they go somewhere else, that's a bad signal. That's a signal that you didn't provide good content. So Google is not very likely to want to keep putting you at the top. Now, here's the thing where it really favors the big brands. Let's say you're a big brand like Ageless Male and they're running massive advertising campaigns. They might even be running TV commercials.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So here's the thing. When they do that, it gives them a huge advantage because now people know the brand and they actually go to the search engines and they search looking for it. So when they search for the brand name in connection with the keyword, that signal of what they're telling Google's artificial intelligence is they're telling you that when somebody's looking for this keyword, this is the brand they're looking for. So it starts really heavily favoring those sites. So that gives the little guy a tremendous pitfall. I mean, that's a huge hurdle for you guys to get over. That's where we created the Site Pop software, which is our new version of what we used to call Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. That's what it does. It actually connects brand searches to your site and shows a positive user experience so you can compete with those big guys. Now, depending on how big they are and how many people are searching, like if they've got hundreds of thousands of people searching for them, that's going to be pretty hard to beat. You need a lot of site pop campaigns to catch up with that.
Right.
But that's really the game. That's why those are showing up. So even if it's, whatever the keyword is, it doesn't really matter. Whatever page is going to be at the top is going to be the one that Google has decided is the most relevant. And that's usually coming from those user signals. So if the users have actually clicked on a particular page over another one, then that tells Google this page is more important for that keyword. So really the content of the page, I'm not going to say it's irrelevant, but when it comes to the artificial intelligence of which ones they're going to put at the top over the other, it's content's irrelevant. It's what the user clicked on.
Right.
So, and it's what happened after the click. So it truly is based on those user signals.
Okay. And another thing, what's the latest with the WordPress sites? A lot of us use WordPress sites as review sites for PBN's WordPress. And
Okay.
WordPress has categories and tags.
Uh-huh.
What's the best strategy to get the maximum ranking power as of 2019 with categories and tags? What I've been doing is if I talk about a keyword in a review, I'll put a category for the keyword and I'll put a tag and I'll throw it onto the main review page. So a lot of the pages I have like 30 or 40 categories, 30 or 40 tags attached to the page. The problem that I've had sometimes is that that will create like 40 different URLs once you publish the page.
Yeah.
And I've had a problem where Google is ranking, say, brand X reviews tag, and it's not connected to the review page. So I've had to redirect like 30 or 40 categories and tags back to the main review page. Is that the smartest way to do it? How do you handle that part of it?
Well, with WordPress, you're right. When you create those, there's posts and then there's categories and all that. So whenever you put a post to a category, it does create its own page for it, I believe. There's a lot of different plugins for WordPress, and ultimately, not just Google, any search engine. The one thing about search engines is their job is to index content. So they love for you to make it easy on them by categorizing your own content, because that makes them easy. It's an easier job for them to categorize it when it gets to them. So making categories is a good thing, and then putting your content, segmenting it under that is really the best, most efficient way to do it, to categorize your own content. Yahoo loved that in the beginning. They still love it today. That's where the other engines learned it. Yahoo kind of set the standards for that way back when it first started. And they're all the same. Google is no different. That's their job, is to categorize the entire world, to index it. So it's like one huge library. And if you don't have a good index system for your library, nobody's going to be able to find anything. So that's their job underlying, is to do that. So one of the things when you're doing that, when you're optimizing your site, if you're doing WordPress, there's a lot of plugins to do this. One of the things they call it, it's become popularly known as siloing your content. All that means is categorizing it. A silo is just a category where you're going to have other pages specific to that category. So, if you had a weight loss category, you might have, or a weight loss site, you might have a category under weight loss of nutrition. You might have a category of exercise. You might have a category of, diet pills and supplements, diet aids, all those kind of things. So it's segmentation at its finest. I mean, when you look at the ACT program, it's based on segmentation because it's so important that each segment you understand that viewer so you speak their language. And your content should be no different. Whenever you're creating content for anything, for anybody, it's important for you to understand who's going to want this content and you speak their language. You might have 2 or 3 different posts or pages, however you're setting it up, that talk about the same thing in a different way. You know, like real estate's a perfect example. If you're talking to a buyer of real estate, it's a very different conversation that appeals to them than if you're talking to a seller in real estate. You know, it's still real estate. So you would have 2 separate pages to talk to the buyer and to the seller. If you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to not appeal to either one of them. And that's the worst thing you can do, because, you know, at the end of the day, you're trying to convert these people. So by not giving them what they want, chances are they're going to leave. You know, it's so easy. It's not like, you know, the old days when you had a salesperson and if he said something they didn't like, he could adjust it. You can't do that on the internet. You got to get it right the first time, because, you know, it's hard for them to get a salesperson out of their living room, you know, if he has a chance to redeem himself. But here you don't. They just hit the back button, game over. So
Right.
it's really important that you get your content on point. You know, wherever they come in, if they're coming in for a review or coming in for information on a product, or, you know, a lot of times they don't even know what the product is. They're coming in because they have a problem or an issue or a desire. And you've got to make sure that you're speaking their language. You're talking about what's important to them and connecting what you have to that outcome. That's how you really create demand and desire, and you get them to convert.
Right. So the search engines then, if they see a review page with 30 tags and 30 categories attached to the page, they don't see that as SEO spam.
No.
It won't count. They like that. They want things categorized.
Yeah,
They want things
that's like an index page to a lot of content. So
Okay.
that's actually making it easier on them.
Okay.
So another thing that you want to do too is when you create your site structure, let's say you're going to have a silo and you've got that category and you've got 10 different posts, 10 different topics, and those all have their own page. So on the index page, the category page, you would have a little blurb about it that is like the most attractive thing you could possibly put, and then you cut it, you truncate it to where they have to click to read the rest of it. And then you say, click here for more, or read more, or learn more, or, you know, whatever your call to action is, you're trying to get them to click through to go to that page.
Okay.
Because if somebody does land on that category page and you are able to get them to click, that's another positive signal back to the search engine that, hey, somebody landed on this page. It was the right page. They clicked deeper. They, you know, you intrigued them.
Got it.
So those are really good signals. A lot of times, you know, I'll recommend that people make, it's not really bait pages, but it is bait pages. It's bait for what they want, though. Don't bait them and send them to something irrelevant. Don't do that. That's not good. But some of the people that are really good at this are the entertainment sites. Like, you know, we go to the movies a lot, so I'm on the movie pages a lot, seeing, you know, what's in the local theaters. And those guys are so good at sucking me in with some headline. And, you know, it'll be like the top 10 or somebody bought a $10 million house, you know, see the top 10 stars homes and what they look like and what they're worth. And what happens when you click on it, you go to a page that doesn't really tell you what any of them are. You got to click to find out, and then they give them to you one at a time. It's like, here's number 10. To see number 9, click this one. See number 8, click that one. So by the time you see the top 10, you've clicked 11 pages deep in the site. Google loves that. I mean, that is really a positive user experience. So if you had, let's say, the top 10 tips on negotiation. So don't give it all to them at once. Say, you know, these are the top 10 tips. This is what you'll get out of this. they're going to see the value and go, yeah, I want to see that. And then when they click to get them, you're giving them number 10. And naturally, they're going to want to know what number 1 is, the top one, right?
Right.
You could lead them through, and you could get 11 clicks out of that one user experience. That is priceless to Google. When they see that, they're like, that's a really good site. I want to send more people to it.
Yeah, I noticed that on a lot of the news sites, Outbrain and Rev Content, those are some of the native ad. That's all the ads are. You know, they have a provocative picture with a provocative headline, and if you click on just what you're saying, it goes on for 10 or 20 pages, and it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and a lot of guys are doing this. They're creating content to do exactly what you said, is native advertising. That's what they call native advertising, is advertising that is mixed in. It's commingled with content. And advertisers pay a lot for that. They pay a lot to get visitors. And this is one of the ways a lot of guys are doing it very effectively. You know, they're putting up those really cool, sexy images, provocative headlines, getting you to go in. And then on the experience, you're clicking 11 pages. That's 11 times they have a chance to put a native ad in front of you.
Right.
So they're really good at that game.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Sure, absolutely. All right, anybody else here?
Hey, John, good morning.
All right, is that Mr. McLean?
The Chris McLean.
All right.
Glad to be here. Hey, sorry to talk over you. I have a follow-up question from what Anthony just asked. On my new site, which I'm developing, is, well, first of all, I have a quick question for you. I'm just going to do something really quick. I got my business cards. Thank you all for your suggestions. A couple weeks ago, I got my business cards, and I just need to put up a quick down and dirty website. I'm going to my hosting company right now, without getting into Kartra and the learning curve. My hosting company is Bluehost, and they offer a free web builder with lots of templates called Weebly. It's really fast, quick, easy. I can do it one day. When I put up keywords in that, do you know anything about that? Will that negate me from any searches because I'm using some free service provided by my web host? Or
yeah, those are probably like the worst hosting plans on the planet.
Okay.
They don't allow you to get access to really do much of the stuff that you want, especially for SEO. Yes, you can throw a quick and dirty page up, but there's a lot of limitation to it.
Yeah.
WordPress, I used to be very anti-WordPress, and I've changed the name of my tune because of what's happened. There's been a lot of shifts over the last few years, and now I actually see it as being favorable. WordPress by itself is not really as easy as everyone said it was, but they've got some new plugins in it. One of them, the one I absolutely love at this point, is called Beaver Builder. Kind of a weird name, but it's a graphical interface where you can edit, design, and use a WordPress site without any technical skills. It's like if you can type in Word for Windows, then you can build the site in here. It's pretty easy. But this has come up a lot over the last month or so as I've been getting out, talking more, and interacting more with people in the community. And people are having a lot of trouble with hosting, especially the cheap hosts, the Bluehost and all this. $5 hosting is inherently problematic. What they're doing, they're stuffing, a million sites on a server and overloading it. So the load speeds are slow. And Google, one of the biggest things now is mobile signals. And mobile devices, they don't transfer data like your desktop gets transferred over a LAN connection. They're slow. They don't transfer the data that fast. So if you have a slow moving site, it can really cost you. A lot of the sites that I look at, I analyze for people and give them, analysis of their site and recommendations. And that's one of the biggest things. They have a lot of ranking on desktop, but when it comes to mobile, they're just getting killed. And it's because of those slow load speeds. and, you know, being on those cheesy servers. So one of the things a lot of you guys don't know, I actually own a hosting company. That's where I started in this business. So if you need web hosting, I can handle that stuff for you. And we've got lightning fast servers. We do not overload them. They're not as cheap because of that, because I don't pile, you know, 10,000 sites on a server. So, you know, so I can afford to do it for $5 a month, but you know, you always get what you pay for on that stuff. So that's something, you know, when you're looking at that, let me know, and I'll make the best recommendations possible. If I'm not the right one for you, I'll send you to the right place.
Okay. I hear that loud and clear. And I'm doing this thing on Weebly because I have made appointments next week, and I just need to have a website up. And
that's perfect for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a bad apartment in a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, just don't sign any long-term commitments to it.
No. It's just a short-term thing. But when I do migrate, and this is in a follow-up to what Anthony was saying. You mentioned that, and again, I fall so prey to those. See Leonardo DiCaprio's $10 million home, and yeah. And you know, the funny thing, I used to chase those before. Now that I know what's going on, it's like, hey, I'm being played here, but I still want to see his kitchen. Anyway, my question is this: I talked to you about on my website. I want to give my clients 10 tips on what they should do when hiring an AV company. So instead of just giving all those in one video, I should give the first tip and then say, click below to go to the second tip, and so on and so forth.
Yes, and here's another thing. Here's a little tip for you on that, and everybody else. The 10 tips thing, that's a lead magnet. You know, that's what you give out to get them into your system, into your funnel. Maybe you give them the first tip for free, and then the second one they have to opt in for or whatever. But here's the deal. Don't just put it up as here's the 10 tips. Base it on a big idea. A big idea will make them to where they cannot resist getting the 10 tips. Because the 10 tips is just, you know, it's just hey, here it is. You know, and when it comes to, I know a lot of you guys have heard me talk about three-dimensionalizing the benefits. When you take a benefit and you three-dimensionalize it, it's so you can hear it, see it, and feel it. And when somebody does that, it's way more effective than just hearing it. And when you say, I've got, you know, the 10 tips, that's just hearing it. You know, I want to see what it's going to do for me, and I want to feel what's going to feel like after that is done. So that's what you can, you know, you can get that compelling grab in. Every hook should be based on a big idea. And if it's not, it's going to be ineffective unless you just get lucky, you know?
Right.
So make sure you're not basing it on luck. Let's base this on math and science.
Right. Good point. Well, my question is this. When I do that, you know, based on what you said with the bigger idea, but using those 10, you know, those, say 10 pages or multiple pages so people drill down and Google sees that, likes that, how long do I have to wait until I get, what are the variables? How long do I have to wait until I actually start getting Google's attention and they start sending some traffic my way? For example, if I'm an AV company and I want to stage people's events, and if I'm sending, let's say, 5 people a month, you know, that I contact verbally, and I say go to my website, and they go to the website. Let's say I do 5 people a month for 6 months. That's only like 30, maybe 35 people that have gone there and drilled down. Yeah. How many times does that have to occur until Google notices it and says, yeah.
So that is going to be entirely based on an individual answer for every situation. And the thing that's going to basically answer that, the metrics behind it, is who's in front of you for a particular keyword. So if there's somebody, let's say there's, you know, 10 people that have been doing this forever and they've got all these signals, and whatever that amount is, you're going to have to build up to where you can compete with that. So not really knowing, there's no way for me to really answer that. But in a lot of cases, you find there's a lot of keywords that nobody's paying attention to. And you can get up pretty quickly, especially if you're using something like SitePop that is forcing the user experience for you and creating brand recognition. If there's not a lot of big brands there, it should be pretty quick and easy and painless. If you've got 10 brands in the niche, it's going to be pretty difficult. It might take you a while. So if it's just little guys you're competing with, they probably don't have any brand recognition. So by putting SitePop on top of it and creating the brand recognition for yourself, you could probably do it pretty quickly, like within weeks or even a couple of months. And that's fast in the SEO game. If you can move the needle within 90 days, you're right on par. I've seen stuff, over the years, there's been quick tricks and, trickery and tomfoolery that could get you overnight results, but that's all you were going to get is the overnight, where it's a one-nighter, it's a one-night stand. And generally those don't end very well. So you don't want to end not very well with a search engine. You want a long-term relationship.
Right. So I appreciate that. So what I hear you saying, well, one thing to think about is that a lot of people, like some people in my position, might just be, that have not had the pleasure of meeting you and all the other people on this group. Some people might just be thinking, how can I just be a great AV company? How can I be a great AV company without really using their website as a lead generating magnet? Might not understand these principles. But also what you're saying is that by just going back to the niches, by finding those niches where big companies are not putting keywords in those. God, I don't know why it's so hard for me to say, but that there might be niches within the industry I'm in that other people just aren't even considering.
Exactly.
And because they're not using these tools, I might be able to rise up in the smaller areas or the fringe areas.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's
okay.
Almost a cliche about that. The riches are in the niches.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you. See, that answer gives me, on one hand, you can't predict the future, but you give me hope that I can take actions, but like anything, it's if I take the right actions in the right direction, I'll get results. If I just take a bunch of action with, a hope and a prayer, it might not turn out as I hope or pray.
Right. Exactly. If you do it based on, education versus guesswork. I was going to say an educated guess, but I guess it is all really a guess. But I'd take an educated guess over just a wild ass guess any day. All right, Eldana, it looked like you had a question there.
Yeah, I did. Let me see my super duper woman with the S on her chest. Superwoman assistant Shannon is on there.
Yeah, I see her over there. Welcome aboard.
You probably can't see the S. She has that big S. So,
Superwoman?
Yeah, Superwoman.
All right.
I think her cape's probably getting cleaned. My goal is to restart my Think Like a Negotiator live training. I'm wondering if I need to change the title of that. You and I had talked about.
Yeah, I think you do. If you're shooting for the market that we talked about, you definitely do.
I was thinking of also including the word leadership in there too, because there is a lot of leadership training that goes with it, and that seems to be a buzzword nowadays as well.
Yeah, that's a different segment. People that are looking for leadership training, that's a very specific segment. So the languaging is going to be different when you're approaching that group of people.
All right. Well, so, you filled my head with a lot of stuff, and this is just not my wheelhouse of how to get this going, which is why since I'm going to Kenya on Wednesday, Shannon's going to be on to try to I'm going to take the word try out to work on, getting this positioned right. So we had talked about how to get a deal on everything you buy versus like I have currently a report that's the top 10 negotiations that you already do, or however, I don't even remember the name of it because I haven't looked at it in so long, but about kind of revamping or adjusting that to be about how to get a deal on everything you buy, or also talk about,
because most people are consumers, they love to shop, and how would they like to buy 50% more with the same dollars? That's really what they want. They want to buy stuff, and they have a certain amount of money to do that. So if they pay retail, they're going to get a limited amount of stuff in exchange for those dollars. So if you could go into it with, I've got the super trick where, you're the same amount you're spending already, you could buy twice as much stuff. That's going to be really appealing to them. But if you hit those same people with negotiation tactics, they're going to go, oh God, I don't negotiate. I'm not that kind of person.
Well, so
because you haven't educated them to, yes, you are, you just don't know it. You're much more powerful than you know.
That's kind of what it is. And we've talked about how that is an issue. So should I still keep a lead magnet just with the different title, how to get a better deal on everything you buy? And I mean, some of the tips are the same, and I'm sure I can come up with others, because most of the stuff that I post about getting a deal on is everyday stuff I'm doing. Like, for instance, Delta just they screwed up on a reservation, and they're like, well, sorry, we're charging you an extra $200. And it's kind of like, no, you're not. Most people don't push back. So, okay, I can revamp that. And I also, so we have
they don't push back because they don't know they can.
Right. Yeah.
That's it.
So maybe maybe a lead magnet with a different title and talking about getting a better deal type of thing.
Yeah, a good lead magnet for you would be, I have 100 things or 50 things or 10 things, whatever it may be, that you are already buying that is overpriced, and there's a secret way to get the deal price, and all you have to do is ask.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that, because that's true. I mean, that is absolutely true.
Okay, so
I haven't seen hardly anything where if I asked, I didn't get something special.
Right, that's like that's the key. People are afraid to ask.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think if they knew it was there, I think they would be able to ask for it. But if you position it as, hey, you got to go in and negotiate, they're going to go, oh God, no, I'll just take the regular price.
Yeah, I actually had said a good funny on that in my little negotiation boutique that I did at Craig's event a year ago or whatever. Somebody was like, no, I don't, I'll just pay whatever you say.
Exactly. Yeah, that's their mindset. I bet you if you rebranded this and you went into one of Craig's events, I think you would kill it. If you went in there with the lead in, not of negotiation, but how to get better deals on everything you already buy, you're tapping into something that they want, something that they dream about at night.
Right.
I guarantee you they're not dreaming about negotiating.
Right. Okay, so to that end, I have like my 52 negotiator tips video series, and we have like hundreds of people in that, but I've not correctly, I guess, it's going, but I have no asks in there or anything. Plus I have at least 300 people. When I go speak, I give this little form out, and there's a thing here to check. I'm really interested in Think Like a Negotiator live training. Whatever I change the name.
I'm really interested in getting more for my dollar.
Yeah. But I have a lot of warm leads, so it's about the other end of it is, okay, attracting new people, can do this lead magnet, revamp that.
Yeah. Here's another thing. If you've got leads that like from the past and they didn't convert, this is a perfect time to go out to them with a new big idea. And you probably will be able to convert the ones that are already sitting in your group, not doing anything for you.
Right. So, I mean, I guess for them, I could just send them this new report, but then what would the next lead-in be for that?
That basically what that is that's a marketing campaign that you just need to engineer. And the way I do it, the fast track to this, I do this with all of the apprentices. The first thing is big idea. The second thing is the offer of what you want them to ultimately do. And then based on how big of a jump that is from the first step to the last step, the marketing campaign is created in the middle. So if it's an easy offer, it might just be, a simple sales page or a simple email. I have done a lot of sales through a simple email. If it's a simple low-cost offer, it's just, hey, here's what I've got. Here's what it's going to do for you. And I want you to go and buy it because it's going to be good for you. It's going to do this, this, and this. And I'm doing it myself. It's working for me. And I wanted to pass it on to you. I've done many, many emails just like that, where I take a big idea and I go right to the offer with an email.
Well, so,
if it's more complicated, a webinar works really well. You can also do it like with a series of emails where you're warming them up over time. The higher the dollar the offer is, the longer that process is. And in the real world, that's a sales cycle. So it's your sales cycle of taking them from A to Z. So obviously, the bigger the ask, the longer the sales cycle, because you've got to do a couple of things in that sales cycle. First of all, you've got to build demand and desire for the outcome.
Right.
And then you've got to show them how what you're offering is the perfect vehicle to take them there the quickest and most inexpensively. And then you've got to eliminate the objections. And once those things are done, that's your sales cycle. That's your funnel, whatever you want to call it. That's your marketing campaign.
Right.
And
but
then,
is it too big of a jump to go from that with my warm audience right to TLN Live or whatever I change it to?
No, it's never too big of a jump. It's just how you have to eliminate all that stuff in the process. So a lot of people do it with a 1-hour webinar. In a 1-hour webinar, you can do all that. That's enough time. You've got to have something compelling enough, though, to get them to stick through the webinar, because it's so easy for people to, jump out.
Right.
And when you do a webinar, it's really important that you record it and you send the replay out to anybody that either couldn't make it, or maybe they jumped out of it halfway through and they never even heard the offer. Because anything can happen. The phone can ring, the dog can take off, whatever. There's an awful lot of things that can break that cycle, and you don't want it broken. So you want to be able to keep it alive. We've sold almost every webinar I've ever done. We have sold more on the replays than we did on the live webinar. And I've done some webinars where we sold a lot on the live webinar, but every one of them got beaten by the replay. We'll send that back out. We'll send it out even 2 or 3 times. So, if you want to double, triple your sales, just follow up. Gary Howarth is on here. He has an awesome follow-up video series where he does video emails, and he's got a system that's really simple to do. And you could literally just go in and record a follow-up video. That is so much more powerful than an email. Like, let's say you're going to send an email out to watch the video. How much more powerful would it be if a video popped up in their email and you literally got in front of them and said, hey, I'm really sorry you missed it. I don't know what the reason was, but you really missed out. And I'm saving you because I recorded it. So here you go. And you can tell them what they're going to get out of watching it. That is, infinitely more powerful in conversions than just an email with the written word. In fact, I just did a video with, I did an interview with Gary to position him for a webinar where we covered all that stuff. Hey, there he is.
Yeah, it worked. In fact, I did just what you said the other day regarding following up with a video email. I did a follow-up when I had spoken to Craig Batley at the Mastermind, and he received it today, wants to meet tomorrow. So, you know, and I didn't have to think about it. It was just done that quick, and it's personal, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, you're literally talking to the person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's effective.
Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I even use my own stuff, believe it or not. And it works.
That's really good when you can use your own stuff and it works. I know Alana, she uses her own stuff.
That's true.
That's when you know you got something worth selling. When you can use it and it works for you, you got something worth selling.
One of the things I say when I'm speaking is, this stuff works, because it does.
That's right. That's awesome. It's good stuff. Chris threw something out here. Let's see. Oh, he said make a lead magnet that says how to never pay retail again. So that was Chris's 2 cents for you.
Actually, I think you said that too.
Yeah, I think I did a while back. But yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, because I get deals at retail all the time.
Yeah, that is a Limbacher quote that I remember. I remember quotes easily, and I remember, John, you mentioned that one day. I think you just leaned over and said, you know, if Aldana helped people never pay retail again, that might appeal to them better than how to negotiate.
Yeah, she'd make a fortune.
Yeah, because I don't pay retail a lot. I always ask, hey, what kind of deal do you have?
But let me ask,
I bet you've never paid retail.
Yeah, but Aldana, let me ask you this. Why is it you never pay retail?
Because she asks.
Because I ask.
Which is a form of?
Negotiation.
Exactly.
That's like the foundational strategy in my book. Ask for exactly what I want.
Yeah.
People don't get because they don't ask because they're afraid to ask.
It's so much softer and appealing, though, than the word negotiation.
Oh my God! Even in the Bible, it says, "Knock and it shall be open; ask and you shall receive."
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't talk about negotiation in the Bible.
Actually, there's a couple of places, you know, where people negotiated with God, but it doesn't really say that.
Yeah.
Hey, John?
Yep.
Can I ask you something?
Sure, go ahead, Joe.
I didn't know this was going to be a Bible study.
Hey, you never know where this call's going.
Yeah, I see that. It's interesting. First, I wanted, Aldana, I love your pink motorcycle helmet there.
No, that's my microphone, actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Shaped like a motorcycle helmet. Oh, okay. So,
I do have a pink motorcycle helmet too, however.
okay. And I want to say hi to all my rock star friends.
Yeah, we seem to have a lot of rock stars on here today.
Yeah. So, you know what I've been going through with my email. So we got to talk after this about your hosting thing.
Okay, yeah, I can get you fixed up on that.
Yeah, that was a nightmare. But you know, my question is, you know, when I'm looking at this, and when I texted you or Skyped or whatever this morning, I must have like 8 different websites. And I'm like, do I need 8 websites? I mean, can I like just point a domain to a page? So I can use just one website, right?
Yes, and this is something for everybody. This is like, you know, you all want to do this. You might have 10 different domain names, but you don't want to create 10 different websites, because remember earlier in the call, I was talking about what Google looks for. The more traffic and the more signals pointed toward one website domain, the more powerful it becomes. So when you create multiple, you're dividing your power. So, you know, a lot of you guys, you're not going to be like huge brands that are going to have, you know, mega power that you have enough you could just split and not have a problem with.
Yeah.
You want to build everything you can toward one. So create your website, you know, whatever your main brand is. Put your main brand as the domain for your website. And then under that brand, we talked about siloing your content. You might have siloed domain names and just have them redirect to that page inside your main website.
Right.
So you could be driving traffic from all those different domains, but they're all really winding up landing on the one, giving the one all that power and juice.
That's awesome, because now I only have to pay you to host one site instead
That's
of
right.
two.
That's right. One site, one hosting. Just make it.
Ah, man, I'm like, what did I create here? Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. You got one site to update. You got one site to maintain. You got one hosting fee. Yeah, that is the way to do it.
Thank you.
Joe, I'm using John for my hosting, and it's working out great.
Okay, you got a recommendation.
Yeah, he was paying a fortune before. I'm like, you're paying what?
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah, it was crazy.
All right, I'll talk to you this afternoon about that, John.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, John, I have a quick question.
Hey, go ahead, Matt.
So I know we had the conversation about pricing, and I know we can't reveal all that stuff and smoke and mirrors to the client, and I get that, but I'm getting questions from some of my leads who are starting to ask me real numbers on pricing. So I need to have some real numbers, and I'm also talking to some other companies that are interested in offering my services to some of their clients, and they need to understand what the hard numbers are. So what I did was last night I broke down, I know you're going to hate this, but I broke down each of the services just for my information into how much I would minimally charge for each one, because I'm just getting started, and then how much time it would take me to perform each task, which of course is just for me. So to break down, you know, what a package could look like, because I need to begin revealing some of this information to people, and because I can't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to come in and it's going to cost this much and we're going to get this done. For people that I work with in the industry, they require, you know, a little bit more data. And I think as I'm getting started, what I found that was interesting was that, you know, if I took what I thought a firm would minimally do a month, like very minimal stuff, and I actually put the metrics into my spreadsheet, the monthly number wasn't actually that bad. It was actually, you know, it wasn't horrible. It was, you know, 2,000, 2,500, and my hours for that were like 5 or 6 hours. And the services were very valuable as well. So I guess I just wanted to get your opinion on two things. One is I put together these spreadsheets because I'm starting to put together some proposals for people, and they need to understand costs or range of costs.
Sure.
And the architects that I deal with are notoriously cheap. And so I don't want to scare away business, right? Because I'm looking to get business, but I also don't want to sell myself short.
Sure.
So what I was thinking was all the numbers I came up with last night, as we talked about, I could use those numbers to create packages for people, because that's most likely what they're going to buy. We're going to do more than one thing. And I would urge them, or I would have some sort of minimum operating monthly, meaning I'm hoping maybe the first month we'll spend 1,000 or 1,500. But in order to show me that you're serious about this, like my minimum ongoing is about 2,000 a month. And so I can do that for bundles, but then if they want to order a la carte, like if they're like, Matt, I just want to do this one thing, then I was going to take the numbers I came up with last night and then double them.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see the value from a bundle. I don't want to give away my cards.
Yeah, sure. No, you've got a couple of ways to skin the cat here. First way is you could say, you know, you could put me on retainer for X amount as a minimum, and that would get you up to X. That wouldn't be my preferred way to do it, but you could do that, you know, especially to get started, just to kind of get your feet wet. What I would prefer that you did was you base it on the value of an outcome. Like you say, I know you can do this stuff like 10 times faster than anyone else because of your technology. So if you go in there and you're selling an outcome, and you basically describe the outcome and what they're going to get, and these guys are cheap, so they're going to want it less than what it's worth. And you basically say, okay, for you to do this in-house, here's what it would cost you. You'd have to have an employee full-time to do what I'm going to do for you. And this is what
Right.
that would cost you. You'd have to have the software. This is what that's going to cost you. And now they're seeing what, okay, now I know what I'm buying. And then you say, I am going to supply that for you for this, which is half of that.
Right.
You're going to get the same outcome, and you're going to have somebody professional, reliable, that you can trust is actually going to do it without making mistakes. And here's what it'll cost you. And it's half of what you're going to get by doing it yourself and going through a learning curve and making those mistakes. And look at the cost of each mistake. They're huge in your industry.
Right.
So you're really packaging it as massive value and massive discount. So I think
Okay.
I would prefer, if you can get away with it, I would prefer that you do it that way, because then you can hold your cards back. They don't really know. You're not having to say, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm tied to your desk for X amount of hours, and all of that. That's a kind of a hard way to scale.
Yes, and the problem is this is an industry that operates usually on hourly. They think hourly and things like that. So what I did was, because, for example, if I'm just using the technology I have to provide a low-cost solution, that's different than me using my expertise to provide strategy, to provide workflow, to provide a real solution. So the way I look at it is, one of the things I offer is just low-cost services, because you just don't have any VR equipment, and I do. And you want to do it, and so I can do it for you. But then the other thing I look at is, look, if you want me to come in and strategize about your business and how to incorporate this and do that, now that we're talking more about $500 or so an hour. Whereas if you just want me to take a model and drag and drop it and send you back a file that's in VR, that literally takes me 15 minutes. So if I charge them $50 for that, I'm just pulling a number out, $50 for me to do that, it literally takes me 15 minutes to do, then I could actually make money on doing some volume, rather than, because then for them it's like, oh, it's $50, just send it to Matt. And they could send me multiples a week, rather than me saying, oh yes, I'm some VR expert and an architect and blah, 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 blah. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars to work with me, because they're going to be like, yeah, okay, Matt, get out of here. You know what I mean?
Well, there's nothing wrong with you having options for them.
Okay.
There's nothing at all wrong with saying, hey, if this doesn't fit, I have this service available for you too. But always lead with the one that you want up front, and then have that one in your back pocket so you don't walk out without a sale.
Okay. And then the last two little questions I'll end with is, one is, I also created some case studies that I'm going to use to send to people. And then when we finally do the marketing, I'm going to use it, because I have case studies that show a session that cost a client $2,500 saved them. We found a $250,000 problem with the building during that session. And so, what's the value in that? Now I have a series of those that are related to architecture companies, developers, and construction. And I've saved, roughly around $1 million just by using this technology. And the total spend was 31,000 or 20, no, it was 13,000 to save $1 million. And now I can't guarantee those results every time, but they do happen.
Huge value in your, and the mistakes that could be made in your industry.
Exactly. So I'm putting together those case studies because you and I are still working on the marketing. The LinkedIn marketing wasn't working. I did talk to I wasn't working because of the budget we were using and a lot of other things, but I did talk to a call center today, and they would do outbound calls for me for $1,000. And that would be 4 hours of calling a day. And now he couldn't give me a guaranteed number on how many leads I would get, but it could be as high as 4 to 5 a week, or 2 to 3 a week, or 0 a week. But I'm thinking that this may be something to do, because I know I'm also working on getting the budget together for the Google ad campaign you and I want to work on. So would you recommend me focusing on getting the money together for the Google, or maybe I can actually get some leads from having this call center try it out for $1,000 for a month and just see what happens. Like, cause I just would really like to try and make the phone ring. And I know the Google path is probably a month or 2 or 3 before we find the actual funnel.
Yeah, I really think that the call center thing is appealing. I would give that a shot.
Okay.
Yeah. And here's another thing. Back to your comment about these guys are used to paying hourly for the stuff, and they know what they know what the hourly cost is. But here's the thing, and this is basically based on a belief. So whenever somebody has a belief, that can often turn into an objection. And their belief is it's best to pay by the hour, so they know what they're paying, but that's not true. You could come in, remember when you have a belief that needs to be changed in your favor, you use the Franklin method, which is claim, proof, benefit.
Claim, proof, benefit, yeah.
So what you could make the claim on is when you're paying hourly, you have no idea what it's going to cost. And that's an easy thing to back up. And then you could talk about the benefit, say, wouldn't you like to know what your real cost is?
Right.
Because an hourly thing could go on forever. It means there's no limit to what this could really wind up costing you. Hourly equals unknown. Do you really want to live in a world that's unknown?
Right.
And then tie that to benefit.
Yeah, I know they think, because they're always thinking how to build a client for it or how to pay for it, how to bill it to the project, how to, because they have to disperse the cost. And if I do services, just services for them at low cost, that's easy because they can mark those up. And my numbers are in a range where I know that they could mark them up and it wouldn't be a problem. But, I'm trying to think of putting packages together where I take a bunch of services that I would do onesie, twosie and just say, look, so for this package, we'll do this many of these, this many of those, this many of these. And it actually works out into my favor because all that work I'm talking about doesn't require me to be in the office. If they want me to come to the office to present the work that I've done or get a client into VR or to get the internal team into VR, there's an cost there because I have to travel, I have to bring my equipment, and I have to spend my time in your office. So that's the way I was thinking about doing it just to start, because I don't want to scare away business that I really need.
Sure. Yeah, I know you need to lock in a foundation. So, whatever path it takes to lock that foundation in, that's just the way it's going to be. So whatever
cool.
we have to make, but I mean, long term, we want to think about this long term too, because I want to get you out of that as fast as possible.
I know, and I'm trying because I'm thinking right now my thought process is like day to day, just trying to get leads, trying to close leads and cold calling and this kind of stuff. And the thing is that's frustrating is that you and I together have absolutely nailed the copy and the ideas are 100% spot on. And I have built even more ideas on top of them that I know are spot on. It's just, I need to get them in front of the people so they can react, because when I talk to people, and these are the meetings I have and the proposals I'm putting together, they immediately see the value and they're like, oh, holy crap. Yeah, you're right. Like, okay, like, let's do this. What does it cost? Of course, is the next question.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing when you get a big idea right and you get it locked in and it really resonates with your audience. It's amazing how that grabs their attention. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, it's great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, anybody else before we wrap up for the day? All right, guys. And Matt, Aldana is on here, and she is a professional negotiator, did this for the military for years. And she might be a good one maybe to have a little chat with, because she's done exactly what you're doing, is negotiating with, with companies. So anyway,
That's great.
Yeah. Connect, I would love to, if you like. And
connect, yeah. I mean, I'd negotiate as well, but not on that level.
Yeah.
So I'd love to learn more.
Well, she's the top banana on the negotiating.
That's awesome.
Even though we don't like that word,
I can negotiate the paint off a wall.
Oh, it would be great to have a call with you. I know what I'm doing is the future of my industry, and I'm an architect. I'm not a salesperson, even though I'm trying to get my head around it. So right now, my struggle is just getting leads and trying to get leads. When I actually am in the room with the person, I mean, it's the way that their faces are. My pitch is completely on point. The faces, they're like, oh my God, like he's right about all this. It'd be great to get on a separate call maybe, or spend a few minutes just to get some tips on how to be a little more successful at it. Because I really do believe in what I'm doing. I just really want it to work.
And you know, when you said that I can negotiate the paint off a wall, that actually took me to a whole different place. You could actually be in the dating business. You could show men how to negotiate the pants off any girl. That would be an awesome ploy.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that one.
I didn't think so. I couldn't resist. I had to throw it out there.
I'm sure it would sell to somebody, but that's just not, in line with my value system. So
I realize that. I was just playing. All right. I will connect you with Matt so you guys can chat and see what you can do for him.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome sauce.
All right. Well, that is it for today. It was great to have you guys on here. I love it when we get interaction. I didn't even get to talk about what I was going to talk about, but that is totally cool because I would rather talk about what's important to you guys. So I will see you next week, and everybody have a great week and stay out of the rain. I know I can hear it. It's hear the thunder there?
There's the thunder. That's me. I'm outside. That's the thunder.
It's starting up. So, all right, everybody be safe in the rain, and we will talk to you next week.
Awesome sauce.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.